Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Unity. We always start by singing a chant into this holy space and just connect ourselves and root ourselves to this chanting and leaving the world outside of these doors and blessing ourselves with this hour to connect with this greater power, this greater love we call God, Source, Spirit, whatever word makes you feel connected and loved. And join us. And we want to dedicate this song today to Sandy Spahn, and we want to see true and total complete healing for her. This is one of her songs that she loves, so we're singing it today for Sandy Spahn. Why have you come to earth? Do you remember? Why have you taken birth? Why have you come to love, serve and remember, to love, serve and remember, to love, serve and remember, love. Now join us and sing with us. Why have you come to earth? Do you remember? Why have you taken birth? Why have you come to love, serve and remember, to love, serve and remember, to love, serve and remember, love, And so it is.
Good morning, everyone. A friend of mine that I knew 40 years ago, I visited him a few years back and hadn't seen him for 35 years. And he was a very, pretty wild guy, one of the many wild guys. We all hung together. But when I met him a couple of years ago, he said, I learned something very important. And he said, it is that this is not my party. I'm just a guest at it. And that's the truth about all of us. We're all a guest at this great party called life. And this party, by the way, is very diverse. And that's the beauty of it, the diversity of it. And that's what unity is all about. It's about this beautiful diversity in which we all live together. Even though we're different, we have different ideas, different ways of living our lifestyles, but we are all brothers and sisters in this beautiful party that we have. So let me ask you, is there anybody here from another unity today? Okay. Is there anybody here for the first time? All right, we got people down here. Just keep your hand up. We have gifts for these people, right? Okay. Now, just keep your hand up because what are the gifts today that we're giving out? A bale of hay. Just tell them where your car is. Huh? No, we ran out of Lexuses to give away. Hey, so we are going to do something extraordinary in the next half year, but many of you don't know about it. Something extraordinary is going to take place because the human evolution is not going to be stifled. So keep your eye open for it. It's going to happen. You're going to hear about it soon, sooner than you think in Unity. And you're going to love this incredible talk that Syntysche is going to give. Stay tuned.
Good morning, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Mike Shadle. I'm the administrator here at Unity of Boulder. If you ever have any questions or anything, my office is right in there in the bookstore. Please come in and say hi. I always appreciate that and love helping out anywhere I can. I got a few quick announcements here. Syntysche is starting up a new women's book group. The book is called Undefended Self by Susan, I'm going to wreck this name, Thasenga. I think that was pretty good considering the way it's spelled. But it starts September 14th. It goes for 6 weeks from, it's 6 Tuesdays in a row from 6 to 7:30 p.m. and it'll meet right here in Fellowship Hall. It's $65 to register, and you can register in the bookstore. We don't have the books in yet, but they are ordered. They'll be here shortly. The books are $20. Her groups fill up pretty quick. Her book groups always, they are well attended and well loved. So please check that out. If you have any questions, ask myself, ask Heather in the office after the service. Also today, we are, our staff and our ministers, we're going to go have lunch at a Nepalese and Indian restaurant right over here just in front of Target called Kathmandu. It's a buffet, so it's one price for all you can eat. Please join us for that. We'd love to have everyone come join us, hang out with us there, and get some good food. They have all sorts of vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free options, plenty of meat-heavy options too if you're in, I don't want to exclude anyone. But come join us. We eat there a lot. We love it. My good friend Andy Lennox here has got a few things to say about taking over the Uniteens.
Thank you. You told me to wear a shirt and tie. I mean, there's a disconnect here.
I knew what I was doing.
I have 90 seconds to inspire you and activate you. So the inspiration, I'm back with Uniteens. I ran this program about 5 or 6 years ago and had the time of my life. And I want to just tell you why I'm so impassioned about teens. And basically, it's probably because I screwed up my own kids when they were that age. And I didn't realize how much I had to learn from them. And I was listening to Jack this morning, and I just remember all of the workshops and these modalities of healing. And I asked myself, when did we get broken? You know, it's all about fixing things and getting back on track. When did we get broken? And I believe it's really right around that time. Those are just absolutely critical years when kids are starting to question, when they're starting to grow the wings that are going to take them out of the nest, when they're starting to build the foundations of the beliefs that will take them through life. And so I am very, very inspired to work with kids, to provide them with a safe place where they can ask the questions, because I do think that the questions sometimes are more important than the answers. I spent 2 years in the Peace Corps in Ukraine just recently, worked with kids there, and kids are the same everywhere. And we, as a culture, have an obligation to make their lives conducive to learning, to empower them. So that, I hope that's the inspiration that you need. Now the activation. I don't want to build a program, I want to build a movement. And as we expand the Uniteens program, it will help the YOU program, it will help this spiritual center, it will help our culture, it will help our world. So I'm asking all of you to remember this and tell people. You know, I'll have a flyer next week, and I will have it in electronic format. But as you go out, you don't necessarily have to have your own kids, but you know people with kids. You know counselors, you know teachers. Start promoting the program, please. And thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Yeah, if you have middle school age children, please bring them in, have them meet Andy. They'll love him. This guy's awesome. Now I'd like to welcome our musical guest. Today our special music. Usually he's standing over here playing a bass guitar, but for some reason today he's sitting over there playing a piano. This is Joel Plimmer with some original music.
Thanks, Mike. So I'm looking forward to playing some music for you guys today. Part of it's planned, part of it's not. I'm going to see how it goes. In a year, my wife and I are moving to Nashville, so this is my last year at Unity. And I'm really in a place of gratitude and thanks. So thank everybody. And for the next year, I'll be sharing some of my music. This one's called One Kind Word. I wrote it with Rick Ryan. This is for the weak and weary who keep pleading for a voice. This is for the down and desperate who are told they have no choice. This is for the lost and lonesome, needing love down to the bone. This is for the wounded warriors who had their dreams turned to stone. Love can be a lifeline when there ain't no hope inside. Love can be a beacon shining through the darkest night. One small act of mercy helps us to our knees to pray, helps us to keep moving, to go on just another day. Who knows? Saving someone's life could be one kind word away, away, away. One kind word away, away, away. This is for the sick and dying, whose only enemy is time. This is for those in prison, for their color, not their crime. This is for the hurt and homeless, who watch the system break their pride. This is for all the dreamers who have no dreams left inside. When it all burns down to ashes in the wind, that's where it all begins. Your phoenix will rise again. 'Cause love can be a lifeline. Love can be a beacon. Love can be a lifeline when there ain't no hope inside. Love can be a beacon shining through the darkest night. One small act of mercy drops us to our knees to pray, helps us to keep moving, to go on just another day. Who knows? Saving someone's life could be one kind word away. Who knows? Saving someone's life could be one kind word away, away, away. One kind word away, 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 away. One kind word away.
I'm affected. That was really amazing. I didn't hear it earlier, and I should have done that to prepare myself. Like watching Joel, I've known Joel forever, and he's such a good friend, but wow, I mean, that's an incredible song, super appropriate right now. Oh, man. Hi, Brandy. Hi, everybody. Welcome all. This is a second talk of a 5-talk series on going back to the basics of unity, and we're going to break down the unity principles, the 5 basic principles, and how we apply them to our lives. And if you just do these 5 little tools, you can transform and grow a life that you could only dream of. And it's easy, it's practical, and it just takes commitment and taking the time to do the practice. So last week, the title was Your Thoughts Make It Real, and it was all about visualization and seeing your life unfolding the way that you would like your life to unfold. And I spoke on the fact that scientifically they've proven that what you look upon in your mind's eye is just as valuable of actually doing it. Your brain doesn't know the difference. So when you see something unfolding, like achieving the job or conceiving children or whatever it seems to be the obstacle that's difficult to be overcoming at the time, you see it unfolding perfectly in God's blessings and in God's favor. And you will watch your life transform. So it's such a wonderful tool, and if you want to watch that sermon, you can see that. All of our sermons are available on our homepage of our website at unityofboulder.com. I'm the senior minister here. My name is Syntysche Groverland, and I share this platform with Jack Groverland, the minister emeritus. And today's talk is about your words and the power of your words. That your words can hurt or your words can heal. And this one is just as difficult as the visualization because you have to take to task your own consciousness, right? There's no one to blame. We have to take full responsibility of our divine inheritance as children of God. So this is the 5th basic principle of the 5 basic principles of unity. Through thoughts, words, and actions, we live the truth we know. Through thoughts, words, and actions, we live the truth we know. So we have to take to task what we are sharing and putting out to the world. And there's different ways that we communicate. It's not just the words that actually come out of our mouth. It's also the words that we speak to ourselves with, right? I think that's almost more important than what's coming out of our mouth, because a lot of the time what's coming out of our mouth is because of what we're saying to ourselves about achieving things, or about healing things, or about facing inner turmoil and duality. Are you speaking kindness and love into your heart to transform some limitation or break or something that made you feel less than perfect in this world, and so you speak to the limitation instead of the power that lives within yourself? In the book Prosperity by Charles Fillmore, he says this: "The sayings of Jesus were of tremendous power because of his consciousness of God. They raised the God ideal far above what had ever before been conceived. These ideas so far transcended the thought plane of the people that even some of the disciples of Jesus would not accept them, and they walked no more with him. Until fairly recent times, most people have failed to grasp the lesson of the power of the spoken word expressing spiritual ideas. Jesus has never been taken literally, else people would have sought to overcome death by keeping his sayings. Few have taken his words in full faith, not only believing them, but so saturating their minds with them that they become flesh of their flesh and bone of their bone, being incarnated in their very bodies as Jesus intended. The secret of demonstration is to conceive what is true in being and to carry out the concept in thought, word, and act. If I can conceive a truth, there must be a way by which I can make that truth apparent. This is really important. If I can conceive a truth, there must be a way by which I can make that truth apparent. If I can conceive of an inexhaustible supply existing in the omnipresent ethers, then there is a way by which I can make the supply manifest. Once your mind accepts this as an unquestionable truth, it has arrived at the place where the question of processes begins to be considered. And that is very exciting, because it's what we can actually create in ideas, in divine ideas. We all have divine ideas during meditations, walking at natures where you just get this, an aha. Well, what if I'm lovable enough that I can reach out and ask for the raise? What if I can get out of my own way and stop talking badly to myself so that I can find love in this marriage that seems like it's stagnating? What if, right, when we get those aha moments, have you had those moments where you just get this lift, you feel spirit, you know spirit is going, remember who you are. Do you remember why you came? The song that Norma and I sang. Do you remember? That is the goal, is to remember why we came. We are divine-natured beings. We are human nature second. So we tend to lean on our intellect and our human ways to overcome the difficulties of our lives. And yet we're missing out that right in the midst of your moment, you can create heaven on earth. Jesus promised that. In the very midst of you, you can create heaven here. It's not to do good and get God's favor this whole lifetime and then we hopefully go to this separate heaven. We make sure we don't go to hell. We'll get to that heaven. Heaven is in the very midst of you. Why would we wait our whole life to not experience the gloriousness and the limitlessness of this universe that is honorable, that wants to show up for us? If we can see a picture in our mind's eye that stands in the depth of the possibility of miracles moving in and through every aspect, our relationships, our work, our play, our children. There's no obstacle that can be handed to you that you cannot overcome. And that doesn't mean that we don't have difficult times where we find ourselves in loss and grief with issues in this world. Every one of us in this last year have gone through that. Because our normal has changed. And it's been a really great opportunity to first fine-tune what we believe is the most important thing. We realized all the busyness we were doing to just get by, and we had to slow down and stop and be with self and be with God. And then we really discovered what really makes us happy. You know, when we used to be painters or dancers or things that were our creative outlets, many of us revisited that and started to become part of that ethereal thing that happens when we're in the creative aspect. And that creative aspect can also be software programming. You know, we're not always going to be painting and dancing, but it's that thing where you lose time. That thing that you know there's this very special something that you were given. And when you found it in school or when you found it in an extracurricular way, you just somehow knew yourself when you did it. I had that in dance as a kid. For me, it was dance. It was performing and working on that choreography and having to do solos at CU and things like this, and having those moments where all of a sudden my brain isn't doing choreography anymore. I'm not even in a mind state at all. My body is just in the midst of this greater something that's taking over for this glorious experience where I'm literally observing myself as dancer. Have you ever had that moment where you've observed yourself speaking and you realize something was speaking through you? It's powerful. When you've gotten out of your own way, like say, I do a lot of counseling, people have to face court things and different difficult things of the world that we all have to face. And I always say, when you're going to go to that interview or you're going to go to that court date, you ask God to speak through you. You've done your preparation, you've gotten your lawyer, you've done what you've needed to do to prepare for this nerve-wracking situation. But before you walk in that courtroom or before you walk into that job, you recognize that you are a conduit of spirit. You've done your preparations. Now let go and let God answer the questions. And watch how you would never have been able to articulate the way it comes through you. This goes for every single thing, right? Any area of your life that you're facing a difficult thing. So the universe is infinite and limitless. What it can grow in us is abound. But it's our tunnel vision that relies on what we've been through in our life that keeps us leaning on how we handled the difficult in our life before. So we keep residual experiences over and over that look the same, maybe different people, different situation, but it's the same. That keeps, because we don't go beyond. We don't build our faith in this greater something that we know takes care of everything. God has given us a world that nothing but our own lack of good sense keeps from being a paradise. In other words, we live in a world that always has the potential for affluence. All the substance of the universe, all the wealth that has ever manifested itself or ever will manifest itself in this world is present right now. This is why Jesus said, I came that they may have life and have it abundantly in John 10:10. I came to show you as your way shower of what you are created in, as, and what you can do to demonstrate. I'm not a perfect, separate child of God. You are all the children of God, and I'm the way shower to remind you of why you came to earth. And his didn't come without difficulties. Was it a smooth ride for Jesus? Absolutely not, right? It's not a smooth ride. Life is difficult. It's challenging. But when we realize that every difficult person, every challenge that we're facing is an opportunity to practice the presence of the living God in ourselves. Or we can be spun out of control and feel like all of our good has left us, and you'll start watching all the good leaving us because we are speaking in our minds to the negativity and the difficulty and our fear that everything is unraveling. Instead of merely observing, it's all unraveling. And standing in your conviction that I'm a perfect child of God. Therefore, I accept myself and I love myself. And nothing can hurt me, nothing can make me afraid because I am present with the living God in me. This these things that are unraveling are there for you to stop focusing upon all of it, to come back to this. God has not given us a spirit of fear and timidity, but of power, love, and self-discipline. God has not given us a spirit of fear and timidity, but of power, love, and self-discipline. In Tim 2, 1-7. In each life there comes at least one moment which, if recognized and seized, transforms the course of that life forever. Rely, therefore, on radical trust, even though the moment may call for you to leap empty-handed into the void. That's the hardest part. That feeling like you got to face something that you've been avoiding forever, but your life hasn't changed because you need to face it. So you got to get your helmet on, and you got to go running for that cliff. Face it fully and trust that God is your parachute. And observe your dreams when you face that. Observe your inner child, your inner workings that are talking to you. Observe the animals as their totems and what messages they're trying to observe, because when you face your fears, you are victorious. Our fears debilitate us, and then we speak to the fears, and so often we speak to them all day, every day. Before we go to bed, we wake up to them. Instead of using our words, the power of these words, to speak to your divine, direct connection with this all-knowing, unlimited resource that's moving in and through you at all times. And the only reason why you're missing out on experiencing it is because you're blocking it. The greatest blocker of God is fear and operating from the ego. When we're in divine, direct connection with God, we're in a state of surrender. We accept that we're taking a passage into the life and the unfoldment that we know we were here to do and be. And that process is always happening. Whenever you think you've hit the plateau and you're, yucking it up with everybody because you hit that plateau and you hit the mission statement, be ready for that to fall away, because it's always about growth. How much are you going to show up and let yourself do this thing? Enjoy this thing. Learn and trust that there is magic in the very midst of you at all times. And when you finally get there, you realize you have days where you're literally floating and feeling a sense of connection that no person on this planet can give us. And that's our direct connection with this loving source, this infinite presence. I'm going to read a little passage from the book, Surrender to God Within. And this is a wonderful passage. It's also the same author of the book that I'm starting the women's book group with. The innermost self is aware of the incongruity of reaching for the best while refusing to give the best. Moreover, obtaining the best is a burden. Obtaining the best is a burden one fears when one is not willing to also give the best. Conversely, giving one's best is impossible when one associates it with sacrifice and disadvantage. When the real self is activated in this conflict no longer exists. It is possible to activate the real self when this particular conflict in you is brought out of hiding. You will find that it is equally possible to give yourself wholeheartedly to love, to be unselfish, to be humble, to relinquish the egocentricity of the frightened child, to allow others to be free no matter what this means for you, and yet not feeling like a loser or that you've lost something. That's an interesting part right there, to allow others to be free. We were talking about that last week. No matter what this means for you, and yet not feel like a loser or that you've lost something. Because we can tend to feel we lose control when we let people be free. And in the end, you never, ever have control over other people. That's an illusion, and that is the ego. So the innermost self is aware of the incongruity of reaching for the best while refusing to give the best. Can you think of an area of your life that you're trying to shift? And you've tried everything. Maybe you tried the visualization this last week, made a little bit of progress, and then you just thought that you could just lean on that little default and that would just handle it for the rest of the way. That's the giving, not the best. Right? When I teach prosperity classes and people come, they get really excited because we have a couple exercises that are just proven and they work. And it's bubblegum spirituality. It's fun stuff just to show you that the universe is truly listening to you, so that I build the faith right away so they get that this is going to transform your life in 6 weeks. However, I say to them, because what you're going to want to do, like little bumblebees, when you find that you actually have the power to manifest from this universe that which you are desiring, you're going to want to go tell everybody. You got to check this book out that I'm reading. It's amazing. It's changing my life. I'm manifesting like this. I'm doing this, and we want to tell everybody. And what we do is we thin out the power of this direct experience. The ego wants to say, I'm better than you, or I want to show you that I can do this. When ultimately, this practice is between you and the divine Father, Mother. So we tend to want to teach our spouses, we want to teach our kids, and we're going to just annoy them when we are just, let your vibration and let your aura have the impact on others, and let them ask you, something's different. Because you're truly living it. You're not sort of giving to the practice. You're doing it. And you're living it. And you're not doing it to teach other people to show that you're better. But something is magnificent and something is magnetic about you. I say, what is it? I want to know what you changed. And then you share it with them. When you take to task what you're holding in your mind's eye about any person, place, or thing, and you find a powerful way to look at all of it, and you can speak the words to yourself about it and share them out as a beautiful vibration, I promise you, your life will be changed. But in the busyness of motherhood, in the busyness of being married, and busyness of, I get it. I can get caught up. Especially with this world, if you watched the news this week, it's devastating. But what a wonderful opportunity for us to have to live in the moment. We have no idea what tomorrow looks like. Nothing in my lifetime has ever looked like this. Has it looked like this to anybody in their lifetime like it is right now? It doesn't, right? So what an opportunity to take this time to connect with this vibrational energy that you are and add it unto the healing and the love that is so needed for this world. In Proverbs 18:21, it says, death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruits. Death and life are in the power of the tongue. When you learn that you're about to say something that's going to affect somebody, because it might be an interesting conversational piece, but you know it's going to puncture, it's going to affect the person. Is this bringing love to this person and to myself, or do I need to be quiet right now till I can let this message that I need to share turn to love? In the Course in Miracles, they call that the holy instant. It's being in direct responsibility for what you're bringing to your own life and others. Death and life lives in your tongue. My dad gave me a piece of advice when I was a know-it-all teenager, and he said to me, and he looked right in my eyes, Because I had brothers, and I'd gotten quite a mouth on me. I learned how to stand up for myself. I was the middle child, and in the end, I probably was louder, more obnoxious, and all of the above. He said, never say in anger what you don't mean, because you can never say you're sorry, but you can't take it back. You can say it, but you never can take it back. And he'd always say, you never hurt somebody's heart. And it was so important. That was always taught to us. It might feel good because you're mad at them right that moment. But in the end, it's like those situations where you just tell someone off because you're right and what they did is so wrong. And you make it clear and you win because you're a better communicator and you can blow people's faces off with your words. And then you leave the situation and you're driving your car and you're just explaining, well, yeah, I had every right to do that because I was right. But you feel like crap and you know you messed up and you feel it because the universe is audible because immediately you know you shouldn't have done that. Whether what they did was as bad, you lowered yourself in a frequency that takes a long time to grow back in your being. Another thing my dad used to always say, he'd say, Syntysche, is it more important for you to be right or to be peaceful? Obviously in high school it was to be right, but I have two of those right now at my house, and them being right is super important. And I know nothing, by the way. We all know that, the mom, I absolutely have not been in this world and didn't go to high school also and experience all the things that they're going through, and you just have to just watch them live the life of hard knocks. We think, I did all the bad stuff in high school, so I'll really be able to guide them. They don't want to listen to me. Learn it their hard way. Thank God, I believe in God. I believe in their direct connection with God, and I know that they'll be protected. I gave them the schooling, I gave them the Unity, they've still got Unity, and they really ultimately are really great kids. But when you give that to your children, there's a freedom. When I get that worry, you've got them, God, and I know it. And they know their direct connection with this love and this guiding light. Your words can either speak life or your words can speak death. Our tongues can build others up or they can tear them down. An unchecked fire doubles in size every minute. Gossip and false teaching are no different. It's been said that great minds discuss ideas, average minds discuss events, and small minds discuss people. Hopefully we're at an age where we're not gossiping anymore. I had a group of girls since high school that was just the Bickertons. It was gossip sessions. The whole friendships were based on gossiping about whoever wasn't in the circle. And by the time I got to 35, I couldn't do it anymore. It just was not my resonance. I wasn't necessarily adding into the gossip, but I just would feel dirty, like awful. And in that phase, all of my friendships went away. And my phone stopped ringing, and I stopped getting texts. And it hurt. They were my buddies. They were my cronies. But my spiritual life became my ultimate food, the ultimate desire of my life. I was choosing peace over being right. I love them more than life itself. I still do. I still see them here and there. But I had to choose this direct connection and then surround myself with my girlfriends that I have in the spiritual realm. And we don't see each other very much because we're always at spiritual retreats. So I want to speak upon the idea that it's really important to start building a meditation that is offering love to ourselves. I read an article that was on Facebook that a friend of mine had posted, and it was super beautiful, but it was all about observing the way we talk to each other. right? Many of us sit down and meditate to hopefully, overcome stuff or try to get silent, but we just see that the voices, and we're kind of just managing the day. We're spending that 10 minutes basically figuring out the way we're going to drive to the different thing, and we're organizing. And we don't get to that peaceful place where we are literally just in a state of in a state of direct connection where we can listen. Because the mind has not been taught to be quiet, and when it does talk, it's not saying empowering, beautiful things. It's repeating the things that make us feel less than holy and perfect. So that's a big part. I want to share a story about when I was going to school at Unity Worldwide, and I did most of it in the field, and I was speaking here for years. It took a long time. It took like 10 years. And then I'd go for week-long intensives where we were tested on books, and we had to do all these things and speak and counsel and all of the different things to get you to this point. In this particular week, I was with 9 other students the whole time. So whenever we get back, it was all of us, and it was a super amazing, loving. I mean, if there's anything that the ministerial process is, they break you down to the very core of who you are to see if you can handle it. To your core. It is the most intense intensives because they know you have to lift others up in every difficult thing. So they make sure that they get into every crevice, every crack, every wound, every single thing. So you're there just like, for like a week, and then you go back to your ministries and speak, and you just feel like you just were broken open every time. So this particular week was no different. The task was the 12 of us, the 10 of us had to collaborate and put a service together. So this is the first service that many of them were doing, because for me, I was already a minister. I was doing it backwards, and they were potentially eventually going to be ministers. So it's the first service they were going to be doing. And it was going to be taking place in the Charles Fillmore Chapel, which is considered especially hallowed ground at Unity Village, as it is the only chapel on campus where both Unity founders Charles Fillmore and Myrtle Fillmore lectured and taught classes. And Myrtle died only 2 years after the chapel was finished. And I'm going back to basics, so I'm showing you guys, this is the chapel. It actually looks different than this. They don't have a lot of great pictures online, I realized, and my brother's the president there now, so I'm going to let them know. You need to get some fresher pictures at this point. But there's this gold painting. It's an unbelievable building. That's what the seats actually look like now. Now there's PowerPoint, so you see it's been taken out of the ice ages to a really beautiful room. And it is a holy place, and every time I go there, I just sit in there and think about Charles standing on that platform and all the lives that he transformed. And this is Unity Village, and the school is like right there, like right at the end of this long building right here, right down from the tower. But it's such a beautiful campus, and they do, week-long intensives. It's such a beautiful place, a huge labyrinth, everything is just pristine, and it's like holy. So if you ever got a chance to get out there, it's in Kansas City, Missouri. So we had to collaborate, and I don't know if you've ever tried to collaborate with 10 people. So everybody's, leader energied people to put an hour together, right? It was like we couldn't get to the point where we agreed on anything, but we eventually had to get this done because eventually it was going to be judged. Well, people were going to witness it, and it was going to be witnessed by the faculty and the staff of the school, Unity Worldwide headquarters, and the president at the time. So there's no pressure on us. And I was putting a lot of pressure on myself because I knew that they knew I was a minister and doing it a little bit backwards, and there was some ruffles about that process. So we collaborated at our hotel at night, coming up with some fun ways to put this presentation together, including sing-along music. We had a smash mob in the middle that I choreographed. We all had talking points and really put a fun service together. However, it didn't come without its challenges. For most of my peers, they had not been working as ministers in a church already, which I had been for over 12 years. And I've been here, I've never not been in Unity, honestly. I've been the secretary, I've been the sound guy, I've been the PowerPoint, I have been every single worker of this place. I could run this entire place by myself if I could have 6 of me. And that was since I was a little kid, because our old church on 16th and Spruce, I would do the sound there or the lighting when we had shows. And, you know, I'm very aware of the technical aspects of things that can go wrong when there's too many cooks in the kitchen. So we get to the point where we're going to do this thing, and we had a dress rehearsal the day of. We've got the sound person, PowerPoint. Some people are taking more of the behind scenes, and some people are taking the upfront moment. And the full hour went on, it went out without a hitch. PowerPoints are perfect, sound is great, da-da-da. And then in an hour, the faculty and staff are going to show up and observe this service. So everybody scatters after the dress rehearsal to go back to their rooms, grab a bite of food, etc. But I found myself staying in the chapel. I was really taught this way with my family, to really visualize. Don't go get busy and distracted when you just were in a zone. Stay in that zone and be ready to now produce this again. Because you get distracted and you go, oh, I've got this. I'll lean on my laurels that we did it right. And I was like really unnerved that everybody left the energy. So I'm staying there just kind of trying to stay there. So they've all scattered, and an hour went by, and the attendees were slowly trickling in, and none of my fellow students had arrived back. I, on my own, turned the PowerPoint on for the greeting of everyone, directed the music artist to start playing the opening music. I'm by myself there. My student peers start coming in and hitting their marks. The smash mob had nowhere to sit because people had sat in the seats because no one put reserve signs on their seats. That was their responsibility. I didn't do it for them, so they had nowhere to sit. So they're just walking around with their heads cut off. Then they end up standing in the back. Our first speaker gets up, and all we can see is his mouth moving because the sound person didn't turn the microphone on. I end up running and leaping across the back area of the sound booth, and I find the buttons and I turn on the microphone, while this particular student looks like a deer in headlights. And now the PowerPoint slide needs to be switched to go from the welcoming to a Bible quote that this speaker is supposed to do. So I'm running now over here to get the PowerPoint on. Next thing you know, it's time for the flash mob. The music doesn't come on. I go running over there. The music won't work. They have to dance with absolutely no music. And the entire thing just unravels. It was like a nightmare. I mean, we didn't complete this thing. This is like a crash and burn like you can't even imagine. And I was so disappointed in my peers. I just blew my mind. It could not go this bad. So I leave, and I'm super disgruntled, and I call my dad, and I'm telling him what happened, and he's just howling on the other side of the phone. He thinks this is the funniest thing he's ever heard in his life. You know, like having, you know, I was attached to outcomes. Right? You know, that's the whole idea. We can't be attached to outcomes. I was definitely attached. And this thing couldn't have gone south in any way like this. It was embarrassing. It was horrifying. It was all of it. But the next day, we're going to go into our class, and we're going to be told how we did by the president and all the people that witnessed this thing. And, you know, we get there, and when I walk in, there's just a strange vibe because all of the students are just in like a half circle staring at me. I'm like, what the heck is going on, you know? And I sit down, and my teacher's like, your peers want to share something with you. I'm like, oh, no. Oh, God. Like, it's like your worst nightmare, you know? And the one girl that was the sound girl, she goes, I just couldn't believe that you just jumped behind the sound system and didn't even ask me if I needed your help. You just did it. And it brought up my child wounds with my father, how good enough. And I was like, oh my God. And each one chimed that I had hit these major triggers in their life, and somehow I made them feel inadequate because I was trying to save the day. And I realized that I did all that, first of all, because I was raised to be like that. 100%. That's completely, my dad would have expected me to do that if that had happened in our actual church. But it was also the way that I talked to myself that it's never enough. It's never good enough. That's how I always spoke in my own mind about me and how I achieve things. It's never not good enough. I could just push myself, push yourself. You can do better, Syntysche. You can do better, Syntysche. And I had that way of treating myself all the time without me realizing it. And that reflected out. I didn't use words that hurt them. It was my energy of my own lack of self-love reflected onto these people that I loved more than life itself. The last thing I would have ever wanted to do was to hurt them. All I wanted to do was encourage them. But I went into a state of fight or flight and fear to save it for all of us. Instead of just letting us all go down in the Titanic together, I don't know if I'd do it different, honestly, when I look back. I mean, still kind of a show. But sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me. We all know that isn't true, don't we? Actually, psychological pain is much more severe and lasting than physical pain. More people than we might think harbor scars from psychological abuse as children. Those scars are on their hearts and they influence their lives. Words can break our hearts. Words can break our spirits. I'm using this as an example. When our lives start to feel out of control, we are in the midst of a rebalancing, but may feel like we are losing everything. This is when we have to stay in the holy pause until we have something to say that is decent and positive. We don't have to bring everyone down around us when things are falling away for us. In the book, Undefended Self, I'm going to close with this. This is from the book I'll be sharing with the ladies in a few weeks. The emptiness and even temporary depression we feel on releasing an image is the abyss that comes from surrendering a false belief that had seemed to make our lives understandable. An image creates a false unity of belief and experience, which gives us a kind of security because it seems to make our lives coherent and our experience familiar. But it is a closed system, a familiar, vicious circle in which we are imprisoned. Addicted to our negative patterns, we are like the abused child who clings to his abusive mother, even when the gentle matron comes to lead him to a more benign environment. Spiritual growth requires that we release our familiar belief systems so as to make room for a larger unknown truth. Letting go is always a vulnerable time and needs to be met with gentle self-acceptance. The feeling of emptiness is a necessary step, a new, deeper unity based on our surrender to each now moment comes slowly and cannot be forced, but it comes surely and can be trusted. Thank you.
We will take an offering for unity now. And as we're preparing to do this, we should know that we all have the opportunity every day to become emissaries of divine awareness. And as we live that, the more we live that, the more harmony, peace, healing, and joy comes into our own experience. So what Syntysche is sharing, she shares mainly from experience. I mean, she didn't grow up with a perfectly set up life so that she didn't have to do hard work or go through difficult times. She's raising a family all the time, and as an adult, it's amazing, that people think ministers really have it made because, they don't get into too many difficult times or situations. It's not true. It's just a matter that if you're in the ministry, you're usually practicing the truth that lets you live a more expanded awareness of life. And it relieves you of the fears and concerns that people get into when they're facing challenges. So what she's sharing is so golden and so valuable. We ought to think about that as you make your offering today to Unity of Boulder. So as you take your offerings in your hands, we're going to bless them with an offering prayer. I want to say to those people watching online that you can look and these particular ways to tithe to Unity of Boulder, and there may be a tag right there on your screen that says donate if you want to donate to Unity of Boulder. So just bring to mind what it is you'd like to donate to Unity of Boulder, and let's bless it with this offering prayer. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, because I give. So it is. We have special music today.
Yes, we do.
Nicole
Hello, everyone.
and Joel.
Yep. It is my great honor to welcome back to the stage someone I've been performing with at Unity of Boulder just about every single Sunday for the past year and somehow knew very little about. It turns out that our bassist, Joel Plimmer, is a multi-talented, multi-instrumentalist with quite a resume. Joel has had his music placed in numerous movies, TV shows, and online media. He's written songs with the legendary Paul Williams and John Anderson of Yes, and has written songs for many artists, including Tim Weisberg. Included in his producing credits, Joel mixed and mastered Elton John's voice and piano for the exclusive Red Piano series, Yamaha Pianos, which were part of his Red Piano show at Caesar's Palace. He toured nationally as a keyboardist with Tim Weisberg and Dan Fogelberg, and thereafter continued touring with Tim for many years. As a longtime Yamaha piano artist, Joel composes, arranges, and produces content for Yamaha, which after visiting his studio this weekend, I can tell you is way cooler than it even sounds. So this is one of Joel's many original songs that he just finished writing, and it is my absolute honor to have been asked to sit in on it. Thank you, Joel, for being our special guest today.
Thank you, Nicole. Wow, that was unexpected. This one's called Begin, and of course it features Nicole.
On again and off again, thinking that we've all had enough again. We can make this madness end when we begin to live and let each other live, to love and laugh and to forgive. Then everywhere we look, the sun is shining. All that we can see are silver linings. Heaven's gates let us in. I know that we all can, if we just begin. But then we're in again, and out again, lost in all the trees we talk about again. But if we can see the forest end when we begin to live and let each other live, to love and laugh and to forgive, then everywhere we look the sun is shining. All that we can see are silver linings. Heaven's gates let us in. I know that we all can, if we just begin. Can we begin to live and let each other live, to love and laugh and to forgive? Then everywhere we look, the sun is shining. All that we can see are silver linings. Heaven's gates let us in. I know that we all can, if we just begin. But then we're up again and down again. All of us going round and round again. This carousel can only end when we begin. Thank you, Joel. Thank you so much, everybody.
I want to let you know that we have prayer partners available to you. If you're facing a challenge right now, you can just stay seated in your seat, and Steve or Aaron will come and find you and take you to our beautiful meditation room and pray with you. And you can register for the book group in the bookstore after this, and then we're all heading over to Kathmandu, the Indian restaurant right next to Target, and we're having all-church lunch. We reserved a bunch of tables there, so come join us over there around 12:45.
Yeah, a meal at the Kathmandu is presently $12. Just want to let you know it's $12,
It's
but you can
very
have
good,
it.
though.
Yeah, it's a great buffet with lots of good food.
It's
All you can eat.
Yes,
Yes,
we can really satiate ourselves.
right.
All right, let's
So-
all rise and close with our closing song. I release